What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Cornelia, back with another episode of Black News, a podcast where we break down current events, hot topics, and local stories involving Black people. Now let's get into it. So, it's so much going on, y'all. It's so much going on, and I am so sorry for missing the podcast last week. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Okay, I told you I had something to do. Okay, I had something to do. I missed for a reason, but I also missed talking about some major stuff. And I also told y'all last week, which is what I'm dealing with right now, I am working within a new software. So low key, I don't know what's about to happen. Okay, this podcast gonna get uploaded by the grace of God. Okay, this is gonna be the grace of God podcast upload. So we will see what's going to happen once I stop recording and start playing with it. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. If it sound good, it sound good. And if it don't, it don't. That's just where we are. But got lots to talk about today and some of the residual stuff that we should have talked about last week, meaning I know I missed the pop out. I ain't get to talk about the pop out on here. I watched the pop out. Y'all know I was locked in. I was over there down to the Amazon Prime on my couch. And I watched from the comfort of my own home on Juneteenth, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. But full disclosure, I didn't even attempt to try to get tickets to the pop out. Okay, I did not even attempt to try to get tickets to the pop out because something told me that the demographic in the building, while rap tickets and rap concerts be participated in and people be going, they be white now. They be white. I had a feeling it might be a little too hood for me. And I was right because people was calling it Gangchella. I didn't get tickets to go to Gangchella. Nothing happened, but there's certain environments that I am not fully able to enjoy myself in. So I feel like my judgment was solid and I knew I would have a better time watching from home than I did in purpose. But again, not saying that something bad happening, but I know once I would have saw more than 2 people throwing up they set, hey man, I got to head on out. Hey, now I got to go on over down to the parking and I got to head on out. It's more than 2 people done threw up they set. So with that said, we all have seen and heard all of the commentary. We all know that this is the temporary silencing of Mr. Graham. Personally, only way I think he can come back from this is if he become a dramatic actor, win an Oscar, and turn into Will Smith. Because if you achieve and overly achieve in another area, I feel like that's going to make people be like, yeah, he's really talented. And it's going to shift a focus. And the boy can act. So personally, I think he got to turn into Will Smith. Slap or no slap, either way. But I bring this up because this past week, Rick Ross went to Canada. Whether he was there to perform, he was at a venue for an appearance. I don't really know the circumstances, but they played They Not Like Us at the Rick Ross event. And afterwards, him and his crew, security, all of them got jumped by some Canadians. Okay, they got jumped by the Torontoians. Or what? I don't know if they was from Vancouver. They drove down from the Vancouver. I don't know if they was from Montreal. We know they was Canadian. And child, they done jumped Rick Ross crew for playing They Not Like Us. Which was not in my bingo card, okay? I would have not assumed that Rick Ross would have went to Canada and got jumped by some Canadians. Or I would have been less surprised if you would have told me they went down there for Caribana and some people from across the border in Detroit done whooped up on them. But not the homegrown Canadians. Hey, don't know what that's about. I do know, hey man, I don't know how he comes back from this. And I hope it doesn't continue and turn into additional violence because that's not what it's about. But all in all, That is so far the residual happenings of the pop out. We know Kendrick Lamar shot a video. We just waiting on the video. It's going to be a good time. And honestly, they not like us about to be the new regulators. You know, when you go to a party, when y'all went to college or when y'all moved out of town or even in your hometown, when they play a West Coast set, there's certain songs that that DJs feel like they have to play for a West Coast set. They got to play California Love, Regulators by Nate Dogg and Warren G. They have to play Ain't Nothing But a G Thing. And now I feel like they not like us about to be in that bulk, right? They'll be like, yeah, this West Coast makes some noise. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. I feel like that's what it's going to be. And I ain't mad at it. I actually love it. So I quickly touched on that. That's that. Let me know your thoughts about all of that. And do you know more information about Rick Ross getting the pause put on him? If you do, hit me up. You can find me on social media at Kenelia. This past weekend was the 2024 BET Awards, which is a pretty big deal still in Black culture. It's still a pretty big deal, regardless if people are moving away from award shows, regardless of if there are other shows that people prefer more, regardless of our feelings about the BET Awards. It's still a big deal. And I watched the majority of the show. I missed the first part because I was washing my hair. Okay. Self-care. I got to do what I need to do. But I did watch the majority of it. And I was also on social media seeing what everybody was talking about during the BET Awards. And it was very, very interesting. So let's start off with the fact that a lot of people over the years have been, let me be real, just complaining and voicing concerns that the BET Awards of present day isn't what it used to be. And I feel like that was really magnified last year when we did not have writers, because it was just all over the place. But this year people were still saying that. They were criticizing some of the performances. They were criticizing some of the people who were there, the outfit choices. And so I feel a couple ways about it. One, I think we are missing or forgetting the fact that Black Hollywood used to be and used to feel a bit more elite when we had gatekeepers. And I know people don't like to hear the idea talk about gatekeepers, but it's real, whether it was television, movies, or music, especially music. We had a checks and balances system in place where in order to break through and become famous, you had to be vouched by somebody, and a big label had to sign you and put you through artist development before you were able to step out and be considered a celebrity or a producer of music at a certain level. We had indie artists, right? But in order to get some shine, you had to go through some stuff. You had to go in that office and be walked into Capitol Records, Motown, Def Jam, RCA, Columbia. You had to be walked in there and vetted and signed before you could even consider being a famous musician. Now you can get famous on your own. You can rap and say what you want to say. Ain't no gatekeepers like that. So the entry point into Hollywood is different. With that said, we are also in a trend now in entertainment where there are a lot less filters and shine and sheen associated with Hollywood. That glitz and glamour and that facade, that fakeness, it's going away. It still got something to it, but those days are over. And with that simultaneously, we also had executives at BET who was running it, Deborah Lee and Stephen Hill. They had a certain standard as well. I don't know who running it now, but those two people had a lot to do with why the BET Awards were what they were. Because if y'all remember, Deborah Lee was the person who got Uncut taken off BET. When Deborah Lee became president, she was like, listen, that was cool. Y'all was doing that back then, but we not doing that. Shut it down. That also simultaneously for the BET Awards, heightened the caliber between her and Stephen Hill, because at that point you had the biggest black celebrities in entertainment going to the show, being a part of the show, being asked to perform at the show. You had to be top talent to get on that stage. So between gatekeepers, the network executives, and having to be considered a certain level talent, that was why the BET Awards used to be what it is and why it is not that way anymore. Now, granted, the BET Awards is still a fantastic opportunity to showcase your talent, to perform, to be seen on the red carpet, to be a part of the conversation. But it's different, and we see it. But I'm confused why people seem shocked by that, considering the fact that some people seem, a large demographic enjoys the way the entertainment industry is now. It is giving people an opportunity to make money, though, and certain people, as where they wouldn't have been able to get those same opportunities before. So the shock, I'm kind of confused because we've seen this coming and we know why, but some people don't be knowing. So that's neither here nor there. But one thing that also came up in the discussion was the Usher tribute. Usher, even though, and he said this, he was like, it's crazy that I'm still in the business and I'm still working and I'm being honored. Which is, it is like, we are the generation, we the old heads. You think about all the tributes in days past, it would be Prince, Anita Baker, the oldies. But y'all, we the oldies. And Usher been in the business for 30 years. So yeah, he would be receiving a tribute at the BET Awards, which was an all-woman, except Childish Gambino, an all-woman slate. So some people was complaining about that. And come to find it, and I thought this, but it was all but confirmed by someone, I'm not going to name that person because I don't want to stall nobody out, that Usher had a say in who he picked to do his tributes. So everybody talking about I ain't like it and why they do this. He was fine with it. He was fine with it. And I had a good time watching it. I'm not one of those people who's like, this sucks. I don't get that comment. I mean, what y'all want? Yolanda Adams to come out and sing? Like, she be doing the tribute. Y'all thought she was going to come. Like, who did y'all want? There were also a debate online that people were saying there weren't any men. What happened to the guys? I know Avery Wilson, a bunch of people chimed in and was like, I'm available. I think because Usher apparently and allegedly had a say in who he wanted, and it was a nod to women because his career has essentially been dedicated to women. And because Usher is a singer and a dancer, I don't think I know of any male R&B singers who both sing and dance at an extremely high level. Some of them probably got rhythm, but they don't be doing no 8 counts. Correct me if I'm wrong. If it's some out there, please let me know. But the people who were a part of the tribute, Childish Gambino, and they said Money Long was supposed to be there, but she backed out at the last minute for I don't know why. Then it was Keke Palmer, Chloe Bailey, who killed it. I love me some Chloe Bailey. I do not get why people listen. I love me some Chloe. That girl be putting in the work. Okay. Keke Palmer did a good job singing and dancing. Chloe Bailey. Tinashe was there. Marsha Ambrosius, Tiana Taylor, Victoria Monet. We also had, I feel like I'm missing, Summer Walker. Great medley. They performed some of Usher's most known songs. And again, I had me a good time. I don't get what the hoopla was. He also did a speech afterwards, which if you were watching at home or from a streaming platform, child, they done muted the whole speech. I couldn't hear none of the speech. He did a little cussing at the beginning and they were bleeping it out. But child, it seemed like whoever was back there in the control booth, they just laid on the mute button. Because at one point I was like, do I need to reboot the app? Is my Wi-Fi down? I can hear the speech. I can hear the speech. Apparently everybody had the same issue. So the beginning part that I caught about the speech, it was good. Can't talk about the rest because I did not hear it. Other highlights of the show. Victoria Monet had a fantastic performance. She is one of the next big stars. We can already see it and we already know it. Tyla won a few times. Good for her. Sexy Red performed. A lot of the rap girlies performed. Meg Thee Stallion opened. Then she came back and performed with Glorilla. There were, I think, Doechii performed. Tanner Adele was they said she was the first woman in country to perform at the BET Awards. Shaboozey performed and bought out Jaquan. Then they did Tipsy. So it was overall a good time. But I do understand the critique. But I also think that is a larger conversation about Black people and entertainment in this business and what we allow and what we support and what we promote, and not just BET be doing this. Because if you support something and it's getting some traction, networks and award shows gonna follow that. And you can't get mad at them following something that you promoting. That's just, we all play a part in this. But overall, it was a good time. I do, though, want to highlight one. Taraji P. Henson was the host. Looked fantastic. Taraji been in that gym. Okay, sis been in that gym. She 50 plus, and she was snatched. Different outfit changes. Stylist on point. She has, many different segments. It was some segments that went a little shaky. There was one where they had her doing crowd work, and she was supposed to be talking to the guy who looked like Method Man, that social media dude, and Keith Lee and them. She didn't know who either one of them was. Child, she pronounced Halle Bailey's name wrong. Peak auntie mode. And in regards to that, let me say this. Stand-up comedy is hard, and crowd work is a part of stand-up comedy. Don't have your hosts doing crowd work if they don't be doing crowd work. Do not set them up for that. If people don't do crowd work and they don't know how, please don't expect them to learn on the fly. That is not going to go well for you. But outside of that, Taraji P. Henson did a good job. And I personally think it's good because people don't be paying attention. And when you got all of these eyes on you at one time, you have to use it the best way you can. Taraji P. Henson took a lot of opportunities to talk about the upcoming 2024 presidential election. And at one point, she went off on the whole crowd and was telling y'all about yourselves and try to get ready. And I ain't saying yourselves like the Black News listeners. I'm talking about them other people who don't be paying attention. So I'm going to play that audio for us, and we're going to quickly talk about it a little bit.
I'm telling y'all, you better show up and show out with them ballots. I'm being serious now. I know I look good, but it's a serious time. I need y'all to listen. Show up and show out when it's time to vote, because it's not just about the presidential election, you guys. It's time for us to play chess, not checkers. It's about making decisions that will affect us as human beings, our careers, our next generations to come. Did you know that it is now a crime to be homeless? Pay attention. It's not a secret. Look it up. They are attacking our most vulnerable citizens. The Project 2025 plan is not a game. Look it up. They are trying to bring the draft back. Who do you think they're going to draft first? I'm not trying to scare us. I'm trying to inform us. We got 3 Supreme Court seats up, you guys. We need those seats, or we have no protection. Okay, I got it out my system. Our next performer, yeah?
I'm glad she said that. For many reasons. Was it misplaced? Nope. We in the home stretch. And if you don't want to hear about politics, I'm so sorry. But you need to hear about it, because we are at a point where everybody will be affected. I know every election year, major election year, we talk about it's make or break and it's about this and that. Every election year is about that. But this year we're actually and right now seeing things happening that are going to shape our democracy and turn us into those countries and those regimes that we read about in history books. We are going to be the next case study. America right now is literally going to be that empire and that country where we talk about the shift and how it happened, i.e. Nazi Germany. It's right here. And I know a lot of people can't really see that, and not to offend anybody, but it's a fact that the American education system is terrible. It's bad. We are uneducated as a people. We have a majority of the population cannot read past a certain grade level, which also means when people can't read, a lot of times they also can't even comprehend what it is that they are reading on the page. So in addition to people not being able to read, they also can't comprehend. So when we're saying all of these things and all of these things are happening around us and laws are changing and people hear and we read and we hear the news and we hear articles, people can't consume it the way they need to because they literally don't understand it. They don't understand what you're saying. People avoid things that make them feel uncomfortable. And sometimes when you don't understand something, that makes you uncomfortable. So you don't want to talk about it. You think it ain't got nothing to do with you. That's why taking the opportunity to say something like Taraji did at the BET Awards, when a large demographic of Black people will be tuned in, is very important. It needed to be said. Also, too, shout out to what she said. They're trying to bring the draft back. Who you think they're going to draft first, child? Because y'all going to be on the front lines doing TikTok dances. What you going to do? And as I sit with this, and I don't know if I said this on Black News before. I feel like I have. I'm preparing myself for the United States to have a turn, or I'm preparing myself to understand or to wonder if this is our time to fall. But the reality of that is people over a certain age probably will fare better than people who are younger than us. So for the most part, if you are Gen Z and the generation behind, this shit gonna really hit you. We all gonna suffer, but some of the things that the laws that are being enacted that will hinder and hurt people, a lot of it gonna be for younger people. So like I want everybody to get our heads in the game, and shout out to Taraji P. Henson for taking the time to bring that up and highlight it. Because I was watching a TikTok, and again, people post TikTok, people can just get online and say what they want to say now. No evidence. They could just start talking. But this man pulled up charts and figures, and he pulled up Google searches right during the BET Awards and at the moment that Taraji P. Henson brought up Project 2025. And the Google searches for just that phrase, Project 2025, skyrocketed beyond the search capacity or that he was able to view within the data that he was looking at. So it works. It works. And I'm, again, kudos to her for doing that. But with that said, we about to get into some more political talk. There was a presidential debate last week between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and it was a mess. I ain't even gonna hold you. I think we all know, whether you watched it in real time or saw the clips on social media, that it was a mess. It was on CNN. The participants agreed to the debate without any fact checking, so that made it even more a mess. And I'm one of those people, I don't like secondhand embarrassment, and I get uncomfortable when stuff is like cringeworthy. So I turned it off the first 10 minutes. I knew it was going to be a hot ass mess, especially when Biden short circuited right in front of our eyes. I turned it off. But even with that man could have came out in a stretcher. I'm still voting for Joseph Robinette Biden come November. He could be in a box. Guess who I'm voting for? Joseph R. Biden. Why? I've been saying this, and I just said this on the last segment talking about the BET Awards and Taraji P. Henson. We are what we read about in history books right now. This turning point is literally what we study in history. And by we, I'm giving some people the benefit of the doubt now. Black News listeners, I know this is the we, you the we. But these other people, I'm just being nice because I know they ain't read no history books. It's evident. But we literally this past week saw the Supreme Court, which is the majority is conservative. A lot of those judges were appointed by y'all's former red-faced president with the red hat, orange face. They are attacked homelessness. They also attacked, in the past, affirmative action. The Voting Rights Act has been gutted. Women's reproductive rights have been gutted, sent back to the states. Y'all's former president has promised a federal ban if we do that. And we all know, because we talk about it here on Black News all the time, that abortion ain't just something that little girls be getting when they be sleeping around. No, that's grown women business. And if you don't believe in abortion, then don't have one. It's simple. They also just ruled that presidents, past and present and future, are essentially immune from wrongdoing if they say or can show that what their actions were like a duty of the job, essentially, which means you can now order the United States military to shoot somebody as the president and not be held accountable. If this don't sound like Nazi Germany or some extreme regime to y'all, and I'm gonna just say this, then you're dumb. You dumb. You're dumbass. And pointing this out, this also means somebody mentioned this. Does this mean that Richard Nixon is off the hook? Because it says it's past, present, and future. It's just a hot mess. And so with that in mind, after that performance, the media went into a frenzy and started to question Joe Biden's ability to lead. They started to call for him to resign and step down and us to find another candidate. They started to essentially spin about Joe Biden's performance. But meanwhile, there were no conversations about the fact that the former president got up there and told a lie on average every 1 minute and 30 seconds. Nobody said a word, which is an extreme conflict, because if you're going to report it. We got to have a clear balance within this. Also, people kept saying he needs to step down. Y'all, it's too late for that. And I think I got on here and was talking about this last year. It's too late and there's too much at stake. Why? And shout out to Bakari Sellers, because he was one of the only people really talking logistically about all of this, right? Ballots are already printed. Military ballots are already shipped out. They're printed. So in order to swap someone out, that means that, one, the process that you go through to get people put on the ballot in each state, we're past that. You can't even do it. We can't do it. Second, that means that somebody would have to then write the new candidate in. Child, people can't even read. You think they're going to spell? So we're too late with that. If we pick an entire new presidential candidate, what does that mean for Kamala Harris? She going to just be cool with that? Technically, she the VP. She's supposed to be the one. We just going to jump past the black woman? Then you alienate her base. And you're not going to get them votes, because I'm going to tell you one thing you're not going to do. You're not going to piss off black women. Even though we're not a large number, you need them numbers. And if you sidestep over Kamala Harris and put somebody else up in there, you out anyway. You're done. People don't like black women. So if Joe Biden steps down and we put Kamala Harris in the top spot, one of the big reasons why people on the conservative side are panicking so much and why the conversation has shifted the way it did is because they don't want a black woman being number 2 in case Joe Biden does go down. So you telling me then if he steps down and we put her, that they ain't gonna be mad? She not gonna get the votes. People still mad about us having a black president. We're doing all of this fighting is because we elected a black man in 2008, 2009. So within all of those scenarios, we don't have a choice but to ride out with Joe Biden. It's too late for anything else. Could they have tried to shift a year ago? Maybe. You still would have ran into the same situation. Because again, you going to slide another white dude up in there when you got Kamala Harris right there? You going to alienate the base. But one thing I also want us to, and I won't even say that. What do I think should happen? This is what I think should happen. And I know I'm just a girl down over in the Southern California. But this is honestly what I think should happen and could happen if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris wants to win. One, Joe don't need to do no more debates. People keep saying he need to prove his mental fitness and he need to get up and speech and he need to do a 2-hour press conference and he need to do that. We are in a time where people ignore stuff and act like it never happened and we move on, short attention spans. What happened last month, people don't even talk about anymore. You know why? Because people don't care and they move on. Now, while that is going to be a detriment, that last debate, he don't need to debate no more. So one, he needs to not debate. He needs to not do long form press conferences. And he needs to continue doing rallies like he's doing. In-person outreach. Go on in neighborhoods. They need to hire a social media team that knows how to work social media in 2024. Because one thing about the Democratic Party, they still be acting like this is 2008, the Obama coalition, and it's a different time. They need a strong social media team who know how to do TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and they need to get some people in here that's some bot control and shut down all them bots. Next, they need to focus on who that Republican VP is, and Kamala Harris need to debate them. And a way to stop the chatter about the Joe Biden thing, his team can go out there hard and say, we already seen Joe debate Trump, ain't nothing else we could talk about. But we have not seen the Republican vice presidential candidate, and we need to hear from them. Kamala Harris gonna debate. Because guess what we know she can do? Debate. We also then need to deploy her. And not deploy her in a way that's going to scare the quote, quote, middle America into thinking a black woman is going to be the president. But I was watching another news program and somebody was saying, why isn't Kamala Harris doing more outreach? And then the journalist went on record and said, she is doing outreach. We all have her agenda. She's been hitting the ground running for the past year, but news outlets don't want to cover it. So she still needs to be hitting the pavement and keep having conversations and force these news stations to show it. Those are some of the things that we can do, because we wasn't alive when this was happening, but we heard the stories and they said Ronald Reagan was damn near a vegetable his second term. It is not about who the president is. It's about who their cabinet is, who they appoint, and who they have working around them. Because we saw Ronald Reagan had that same thing, and all of his advisors and his whole team ruined America with them conservative practices. We need to ensure and to get that message out that it ain't just about Joe. Yeah, the debate was a mess, but we done with that. We gonna shift focus. That, to me, is what needs to happen, especially seeing how people forget and move on from stuff. They need to act like nobody talking about his physical fitness. They need to completely ignore it and switch the subject, period. Otherwise, it's about to be The Handmaid's Tale Part 2, Nazi Germany. It's going to be Germany up in here. I don't know what, I just don't. And it's so frustrating when you see something happening and other people act like they can't see it. It's so frustrating. I think that's the most difficult part about this. So let me know y'all thoughts about it. Let me know what you think the strategy needs to be moving forward. And I know with Black News, this is a podcast where we talk about all things Black news, but this do affect us. So this is Black News Today. And also, let me throw in here, y'all, former president told Israel to finish the job when it come to Palestine. Y'all pay attention, man. All right, I'm done. Let me know your thoughts about all of this, okay? You know where to find me. I'm at Kennelia on social media. And let me make a correction. I said the ballots are already printed. The ballots are not already printed because we still have to add the Republican VP candidate. But each state has their own procedure and rules on how people get onto the ballot. So I do not think at this point that people can be changed unless there is a substantial reason like death. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But there are more logistics that have to happen to get somebody to be the new party nominee in July, the year of the election, versus just deciding that we're going to swap out and add somebody else in. So again, ballots are not already printed, but it's not as easy just to get somebody else added. On this week's episode of Black News, we talked about the 2024 BET Awards, Taraji P. Henson as host, and also the most recent presidential debate on CNN. Let me know your thoughts about all of these topics, some or none, and I'll check back with you guys next time. That's it for this week's episode of Black News, y'all. Thanks again for supporting the podcast by sharing, liking, subscribing, and rating 5 stars on your favorite podcast app. To find more information about me, you can check me out at Kennelia on social media, as well as on my website, which is Kennelia.com. And as always, thanks for supporting, and I'll be back next week with new topics and a new episode.